Hey guys, I'm forcing myself to make this video again because the last time I tried to do it, it fucked up, so that was fun. Here's a few books that I read this past few months. Yeah. The first book I'd like to share with you guys is called The Troop by Nick Cutter. And the summary is as follows. Once every year, Scoutmaster Tim Riggs leads a troop of boys into the Canadian wilderness for a weekend camping trip, a tradition as comforting and reliable as a good ghost story around a roaring bonfire. The boys are a tight-knit group. There's Kent, one of the most popular boys in school, Ephraim and Max, also well-liked and easygoing. Then there's Newt the nerd and Shelley the odd duck. For the most part, they get along and are happy to be there, which makes Tim's job a little easier, but for some reason he can't shake the feeling that something strange is in the air this year, something waiting in the darkness, something wicked. It comes to them in the night, an unexpected intruder stumbling upon their campsite like a wild animal. He is shockingly thin, disturbingly pale, and voraciously hungry. A man in unspeakable torment who exposes Tim and the boys to something far more frightening than any ghost story. Within his body is a bioengineered nightmare, a horror that spreads faster than fear. One by one, the boys will do things no person could ever imagine. And so it begins, an agonizing weekend in the wilderness, a harrowing struggle for survival, no possible escape from the elements, the infected, or one another. I did a breakdown on this book in my last video, so if you guys want all the gory details, go check that one out. I loved this book. I loved everything about it. It was everything I could want in a horror novel. It was well written, it was grotesque, it was heart-wrenching. I could not recommend this book enough if you are into horror, which I'm assuming that you are since you're here and all. If I had to rate this book, I'd give it 5 baby sea turtles out of 5. Next, I read a collection of short stories on Audible called The Best Horror of the Year, Volume 8, compiled by Ellen Datlow, and the summary is as follows. For over 3 decades, Ellen Datlow has been at the center of horror, bringing you the most frightening and terrifying stories. Datlow always has her finger on the pulse of what horror listeners crave. Now, with the 8th volume of the series, Datlow is back again to bring you stories that will keep you up at night. Encompassed in the audio of the best horror of the year have been such illustrious authors as Neil Gaiman, Kelly Armstrong, Stephen King, Linda Nagata, Laird Barron, Margot Lanigan, and many others. With each passing year, science, technology, and the march of time shine light into the craggy corners of the universe, making the fears of an earlier generation seem quaint. But this light creates its own shadows. The best horror of the year chronicles these shifting shadows. It is a catalogue of terror, fear, and unpleasantness as articulated by today's most challenging and exciting writers. So I forgot about these stories the second that I read them. Even Neil Gaiman's story, and he's one of my favorite authors. I usually listen to an audiobook at night before bed, but this book put me to sleep so quickly I kept having to restart the stories. It took me so long to finish it because every story was just blah. And the worst thing a book can be is boring. I would not recommend this collection if I had to rate it. I'd give it 1 painful catheter out of 5. The next thing I read was another collection of short stories. It's The Books of Blood Volume 2 by Clive Barker. I've already read the summary for The Books of Blood in a previous video, so I'll just get down to it. I thought these stories were okay. I remember really liking the first collection, so I was a little disappointed with this volume. I don't have any idea why. The writing was beautiful and consistent. It should have worked for me, but it just didn't. I would recommend this book, but only if you're a Clive Barker fan and you plan to complete the collection. If I had to rate it, I'd give it 3 flayed men out of 5. The last book I read is called When You Find Me by P.J. Vernon, and the summary is as follows. Visiting her family's South Carolina estate, socialite Gray Godfrey wakes up from a night out to an empty bed. Her husband Paul is gone, and a thrashing hangover has wiped her memory clean. At first, she's relieved for the break from her tumultuous marriage. Perhaps Paul just needed some space. But when his car is found abandoned on the highway, Gray must face the truth that Paul is gone, and Gray may not want him found. Her life is unraveling. When a stranger named Annie calls, claiming to know Paul's whereabouts, Gray reluctantly accepts her help. But this ally is not what she seems. Soon Annie is sending frightening messages and revealing disturbing secrets only Gray could know. As Annie's threats escalate, Gray's grip on reality begins to slip. The life she thought she had and the dark truth she's been living begin to merge, leaving an unsettling question. What does Annie want, and what will she do to get it? A chilling look at marriage, madness, and the lives we think we lead. When You Find Me is a daring debut from a talented new voice in psychological suspense. So this one was a bit different from what I usually read. It's more psychological thriller than a horror novel, but I still had some fun with it. It was okay. I thought the ending twist was a little forced and kind of predictable, but overall it was a solid story. I'd go ahead and recommend this if you're into psychological thrillers. If I had to rate it, I'd give it 3 shots of tequila out of 5. That's what I've been up to this past month or so. Sorry I don't update as consistently as I would like to. I'm sure that you guys know how mental health gets in the way and all of that. And my computer was broken for a while, so that sucked. But yeah, you know how it is. Some days it's a struggle just to get out of bed in the morning. But thank you so much for sticking with me. I just saw that I'm at 60 subscribers, so that's really cool. Yeah, that makes me so happy. Thank you guys. Next video will be a breakdown of Born to Bleed by Ryan C. Thomas. I'm pretty excited for it. So far, it's been a wild ride. Yeah, anyway, that's all I have. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.